Alexander Isak moves out of Newcastle Home. As Liverpool transfer saga takes drastic twist, Alexander Isak has reportedly vacated his Newcastle home as he looks to force a move to Liverpool. The Times reports that the property in Ponteland that Isak has lived in for 3 years since his arrival on Tyneside in 2022 was put on the rental market the day after the Swedish striker was omitted from the Magpies Players and Families Day. The 25-year-old is said to have been the only member of Newcastle's first-team squad not allowed at the bonding day held at the club's training ground last week. The owner is now believed to be seeking new tenants, having first put the property on the market late last month when Isak flew to Spain for personal training rather than joining Newcastle's pre-season trip to Asia. It was advertised for £6,950 a month the day he left for Spain, the Times reports, before being quickly taken off the market before Isak returned to Newcastle. But the property, said to be empty once more after Isak moved out, is reportedly now back on the market again with a local rental company. It was reported earlier on Tuesday, and Isak's desire to leave has only intensified amid claims on Monday that a new contract could be discussed instead. Isak has reportedly vowed never to play for Newcastle again. Liverpool remain interested, but are yet to return with an improved second bid after seeing an offer worth £110 million rejected by Newcastle earlier in August. Newcastle are said to consider Isak not for sale amid suggestions that a £150 million asking price has been set for the Swedish star. The report claims the house was first put on the market when Isak jetted off to Real Sociedad to train at his former club on July 24th. The striker opted to fly out to Spain for personal training rather than link up with the Magpies on their pre-season tour in the Far East. The house went on the market advertising rent of £6,950 a month before it was quickly taken off the market. However, the property is now back available for rent and now vacant. The report claims that it was Isak's decision to leave his Newcastle teammates prior to their pre-season friendly clash with Celtic last month, though Eddie Howe claimed to have sent him home due to the ongoing speculation about his future. Howe said last month, "I'd never give a guarantee about anybody staying because I've been in football long enough to know I could end up looking silly. But the desire from everybody to keep him is as strong as it could be. Fingers crossed that will happen for us. We love him as a player and a person and want him to stay, and that is right through the club. He's an outstanding talent and a player we cherish." I think for any player speculations, not an easy thing to deal with, and not an easy thing to understand when you're fielding calls and messages from players and people asking you all sorts. The media now is so strong, and the media message goes far and wide. I don't think it's easy for any player to be under that scrutiny, and that's 10% of the reason why he wasn't here today. I just want him to focus on himself and his training and being ready for next week. However, things would take a huge twist when Liverpool made an official approach worth £110 million, which was rejected by Newcastle United since then. Isak has missed all of the Magpies' pre-season campaign, and reports on Tuesday morning claim the striker has made it clear he won't play for the club again. Alexander Isak's potential blockbuster move to Liverpool is set to dominate the rest of the summer transfer window, but how did his relationship with Newcastle unravel to bring us here? It hasn't taken Alexander Isak long to fall from hero to zero in Newcastle circles. The Swedish striker is at the epicenter of an increasingly bitter tug-of-war between the Magpies and Liverpool, with a seismic £150 million transfer hanging in the balance. Once adored as the crown jewel of St. James Park, Isak's bond with the Geordie faithful has been shattered into a million jagged pieces, with the fallen Toon idol refusing to play for the club again, even if a transfer away fails to materialize. But how exactly did it come to this? Just weeks ago, Isak was king of the Northeast, a Swedish sorcerer who combined grace with power, effortlessly gliding past defenders before unleashing with his thunderbolt of a right boot. Interest from elsewhere was inevitable. But with 3 years remaining on his contract and a daunting £150 million price tag designed to deter all but the boldest of suitors, keeping Isak at Newcastle this summer looked a formality on the outside. At least Liverpool's pursuit changed everything in terms of it gave Newcastle an out, a destination from where they could land the maximum fee possible. Despite Newcastle's repeated refusals, the Reds have remained unwavering in their mission. Even after spending big on Hugo Ek, they want Isak and are refusing to retreat despite Newcastle's position and swift rejection of their £110 million bid earlier this summer. Now, with the transfer window slamming shut on September 1st, the very public standoff has plunged the Magpies into total chaos. Their preseason preparations in tatters and fans reeling from the betrayal of a player they once worshipped for Isak. It changed little, except for giving him a place to go and somewhere he could really push for. Newcastle holds significant negotiating leverage, and the Swede has been pushed to drastic measures. But those are measures to which he feels the club have pushed him. Having made clear in the last 12 months that he wanted to leave when last season was over,